dressed as Santa. At the very same event, a 14-year-old girl, 14 years old, giving a speech when Union thugs started saying things like this.
I think a 13-year-old girl, they said, who's speaking right now on the big screen, and this is how this guy's responding.
Do your homework, you spoiled little brat. You can't drive this way when you tell me what to do. Right here. Hands up from you. Go back to your room. Get on a nice train.
Do we have shared values, America? Do we have shared values? Why isn't that leading the evening news tonight? Are we Americans, or are we turning into monsters? How about in Oregon, where the leftist Union thugs staged an anti-Tea Party protest? Listen to what this guy's saying he wants to do with the American flag, and he does it every day. Do we have shared values, Nancy Pelosi? Do we? Where is the media on some of the most anti-Semitic things I have ever heard? These just in the last few days. Let's start with Louis Farrakhan. Watch this.
Here's the President of the United States. His plane stops in Las Vegas. And the little Jewish mayor wouldn't even come out to greet him. How you gonna greet a president? Yes, I use the word because that's the way they think. You're nothing to them.
This man draws crowds of 18,000 people. Is he not worth pointing out? Is this not worth standing up against? Then there's this posted in Vanity Fair. This was posted Friday night at 5:45 while this broadcast was still on the air, doing an hour special on Israel. Vanity Fair wrote, his guests are Pastor John Hagee, the portly apocalypto preacher man, Dory Gold, the ambassador to the United States from Israel, Dory Gold, notable Israeli bore, and an American rabbi whose name I'll jot down the moment he says something interesting. It was hatred. But I don't think it should be banned. I think it should just be pointed out. And I'm wondering if the gaggle of George Soros groups are going to line up to take out attack ads on the gentleman that wrote it. Again, just recapping the things that have happened since we last met. Bill Ayers did an interview, which in it he again clearly states he does not regret bombing the Pentagon and other government targets. Here he is.
Let's just take it from the top then. Do you regret setting those bombs?
Not at all. And the reason
You don't.
is no one was hurt, no one was killed, property was destroyed. Meanwhile, every week that the war went on, 6,000 people were killed. Weather Underground indeed did take responsibility for a handful, maybe a dozen, extreme acts of vandalism. That's true. That's true. And so compared to what was going on every day in Vietnam, including the illegal bombing of cities, which John McCain took part in, and he is, of course, a war criminal.
Okay. Extreme acts of vandalism. He's defining a 1970 pipe bomb in San Francisco, attributed to the group killing one police officer and severely hurting another. That's just an extreme act of vandalism. An accidental 1970 explosion in Greenwich Village in a townhouse killed 3 radicals. Just extreme vandalism. That's it. 1981, an armed robbery of Brink's armored truck that involved Weather Underground members killing Kathy Boudin, David Gilbert, and 2 police officers, and a Brinks guard were killed. But those are just extreme acts of vandalism. It was the war, in 1981. This man currently writes books for your children. He's teaching, or was teaching, at a college. Now he's working on the anti-Israeli flotilla. And you tell me that I'm just talking to a boring rabbi and a known Israeli bore about Israel being set up. Well, let me ask you, Nancy, do we have shared values? Do we have shared values? I don't think so anymore. More in a second. is in the news again. He was at the Power Shift conference this weekend that nobody seems to want to cover. This is the event where last time Van Jones gave this super classic quote. Here it is. You know it. You love it.
No more broken treaties. No more broken treaties. Give them the wealth. Give them the wealth. Give them the dignity. Give them the respect.
Now, if you just think this is just another insignificant group, think again. Green for All, Van Jones' organization was there. Al Gore was there. Even President Obama spoke there, I think, during videotape. But I know for sure he met with the leaders of this group in the Roosevelt Room. Look at that. You know what that is? That's the room where the cabinet meets. Except remember the political person, the Democrat, who says he's not meeting with the cabinet? They haven't even seen him? Of course not. This is his cabinet. The president is into redistribution of wealth. We know that. He said that to Joe the plumber on the campaign trail. He also told Charlie Gibson he would raise the capital gains tax out of fairness during a campaign debate. That's cap and trade, the green economy. It's nothing more than massive redistribution of wealth. It's in disguise, not a very good disguise, but still it's a disguise. And now they are going after the youth because they can't get it past you. Listen to how Van Jones addressed this young crowd over the weekend.
When you go home, shift the power at the Thanksgiving table. When your Uncle Joe, who loves Fox News, starts talking to you and starts dominating the discussion.
I will tell you this, in a side note, that is why I am leaving this network. This network has this audience cornered. You are here because they're telling you the truth. We have got to get to our youth. Listen to what he is saying. Don't listen to the elders in your family. You teach them. Well, Al Gore has done exactly the same thing. Listen.
There are some things about our world that you know that older people don't know.
That was not the first time that he said that to people, to ignore your parents. Before Obama's inauguration, he was speaking to kids. Here it is.
When I was very young, a young teenager, and young people asked their parents in that era, explain to me again why it's okay to have legal discrimination on the basis of skin color. And when they could not answer that moral question coming straight from the conscience of young people, that's when the laws began to change.
Okay. These two sound bites were clipped. That was from this weekend. The other was during the Obama administration. They are telling our kids. You have major leaders now telling our children not to listen to their parents, to teach the parents. And you have show the picture of the president and his cabinet room, the Roosevelt Room. This room is right across the hallway, through the door, right behind the president. Right here is the Oval Office. This is where the cabinet meets or doesn't meet, as it is in the case with the President of the United States currently. The more things change, you see, the more they stay the same. These radicals are the same radicals that used to tell each other in the 1960s, don't trust anybody over 30. Don't trust your parents. Bill Ayers said, kill the parents. Kill your parents. That's what he said in the 1960s. Now they're just saying, don't trust your parents. Don't trust them. Don't listen to them. Teach them. Teach them. Don't listen to anyone over 30. Don't trust anyone over 30 unless it's us. And did you notice that Al Gore referred to the environmental rights as the same thing as civil rights? The left seems to think that everybody is a civil and human right. Internet, cable TV, food without trans fats, you name it, it's a civil right now.
Step from health care as a privilege to health care as an inalienable right of every single American citizen.
I offered a starting point for that vision by calling for a global commitment to internet freedom to protect human rights online as we do offline. It's a struggle for human rights, it's a struggle for human freedom, and it's a struggle for human dignity.
I believe health care is a civil right.
Is health care in America a privilege, a right, or a responsibility? Privilege, right, and responsibility. Start with that.
I think it should be a right for every American.
Okay, this goes back here, the Constitution. The Constitution says what the government cannot do, but they are changing it, and they are changing it bit by bit into what the government must do. Must have high-speed internet, must have this, must have that. I think this is insulting to the memory of Martin Luther King and all who marched with him. It's insulting to the actual civil rights movement. Collective bargaining is the same? People were being killed, discriminated against, and hung because of the color of their skin. Had nothing to do with anything but the color of their skin. And you're equating that with salary negotiations? Wow. How? Well, the media. How do you get away with it? How do you sleep at night? I know there is one person that would agree with all of these things being a civil right, and let me play Van Jones again because he said it here.
When you go home, shift the power at the Thanksgiving table. When your Uncle Joe, who loves Fox News,
Uncle Joe.
starts talking to you.
Stop. Uncle Joe. Except it's not the one that liked Fox News. The Uncle Joe that I'm remembering, well, a long time ago, referred to as Uncle Joe, was Uncle Joe Stalin. Joe Stalin, our government, we needed him as an ally. And so they tried to make him into Uncle Joe. It's funny because it's almost like the people in our government, again, are using Uncle Joe. Because Uncle Joe would completely understand and support all of those basic civil rights.